Welcome, Leo, to your in-depth weekly astrology overview and zodiac forecast for week commencing the 25th of May for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. Going to share the big themes of the week ahead first of all, then on screen, your event chart as we come into the week, always important as a backdrop. I'll then go through each of the influences in detail. By the end of the video, you have a clearer understanding of what's upcoming as far as your energy, your work, relationships, and finances. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel, and a very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. But please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. I never actually ask people ever to like or hype my videos, but if that works for you, that would be fab too. So at the start of this week, Leo, there's a big cluster of energy in the friendly sign of Gemini for you. This can be very social indeed. But right at the top of your chart is the power planet of Mars. Mars can be very much to do with assertiveness, and in the sign of Taurus, it wants practical results, particularly as far as your professional situation or maybe even your earnings. But Mars is going to be a big player this week because if there's something you feel isn't fair, the chances are you're going to speak out about it. It could have a big impact on certain alliances, but if your future direction with that cluster of energy in Gemini is not quite as it could be, if you're not quite showcasing your brilliance in the way you could, the blue moon at the end of the week gives you a great chance over the following 2 weeks to realign. And Mars here can give you the confidence to step away from something if it's just not quite working. So on the screen is your event chart. There's the cluster of players in the sign of Gemini. But we do have in the sign of Gemini Mercury, the ruler of the sign, which means that your communicational skills can definitely be amplified by it. But look at Mars right at the top of that chart. So Mars in the 10th house is very comfortable with the limelight. Mars in Taurus, very much wanting to know the value of things. And if you feel in your professional situation that you are being rewarded and respected, the chances are you're going to be in turbocharge motion this week. However, by Tuesday, the Sun links to Pluto. And if there is an alliance that you're in that's going well, the communication between you, very interactive, you spur each other on, you feel that you're growing through this, it really can go from strength to strength. But what about if there's a relationship in your world and you're not the Mars energy, it's someone else? It could be a very dominant boss. It could be in a relationship scenario where your partner maybe wants things their own way a little bit. And all of that can reach a bit of a pinch point on Tuesday as Mars and Pluto forge an exact square for the first time in 2 years. It's one of astrology's most intense and potentially tumultuous influences. So if there is something that's majorly out of balance, that then feeds into Venus moving forwards in a much more private area and coming into a square with Saturn. And if a point of principle is really behind this disagreement, it's going to be quite hard to really reverse out of the passion it could evoke within you. Which brings us to the end of the week. And we have the full moon here in the fire sign of Sagittarius, which loves freedom, but it can also be quite outspoken. So that 11th house can be your social situation. It can be your long-term plan, but it can be your friends. And the 5th house is really encouraging you to be much more in tune with what you need at an emotional level. And because that links back to Mars in a quincunx, if you're realizing that maybe there's a little bit too much attunement to other people's expectations, this is another nudge to have the drive and the self-belief to step into what's really right for you. So a potentially intense week. It's one that if your social life, your long-term plan, a close friendship is all going really well, you may not notice some of these more testing energies. If, however, you do feel that someone wants to have the upper hand, or wants in some ways to push you into doing something that's a little bit against your instincts, it's going to show up strongly. And if you do need to realign, I feel you can turn Mars very much into your friend as the week draws to a close. I'm going to summarize those four areas of vitality: your job, your finances, and a relationship shortly. But just to say, I've reduced the price of my personal horoscope reports. It's now three for the price of one. It used to be two or 30% off for a very long time. I've reduced the price because I realise people are feeling the pinch. The one you pay for is your life roadmap report, which helps us to understand the patterns that are playing out in our lives and become more intimately aware of what they are. And then that helps us to work future forwards in a better, more effective way. Free, you get your 12 months transit forecast and also your draconic soul karmic analysis. That can be very different from our natal chart if your North Node natally is not late in Pisces or early in Aries, and help us to look at ourselves, life, and astrology in a very different and profound way. Please see the link below for more. Now, if you've yet to watch your Mars in Taurus 6-week forecast, I think it might be worth doing that. I mean, you can watch the Gemini season video, but equally the Mars square Pluto video, because it only happens every 2 years, it won't happen for another 18 months. If there is some heavy stuff going on in your world, that could be very helpful, I feel, to try to unpick it in detail. If you would like to work with me personally, it'd be an absolute pleasure. Please see my testimonials below. I work with people the world over. Uh, and if you've yet to take advantage of your free daily written horoscope, find your device each morning, it would be great for you to sign up for that. Get your early day celestial pit stop. If you're really into natal astrology and you don't feel that daily horoscopes really matter, I would say that my daily horoscopes could surprise you. And it is entirely fine to read it for your ascendant, your moon, your sidereal sign, your partner, your ex, whoever you wish. So to summarize, I think this is a week when you may have to show that more fiery, assertive side of your nature. In a positive way, it could help to push you towards the rightful future you deserve. Unfortunately, it may mean that you have to stand up against someone who's being unethical, unfair, or unkind, but it will help you to show your mettle. However, if there is a relationship which you're really not enjoying, the square between Saturn and Venus, unfortunately, that peaks on Friday, may see that tie come to a close. But around your professional situation, if you are collaborating with people who are bright-minded, fun, and interactive, you're going to go from strength to strength. As far as your neat finances are concerned, I feel that this is a time for you, particularly with Venus and Jupiter. Jupiter's coming to the end of its journey in your 12th house. You may have been doing a lot of deep work over the last year, and you're going to get your reward. And the reward is likely to come more in the second half of this year because Jupiter switches into your sign, also Mercury, but also you have a fantastically powerful solar eclipse on the 12th of August, which is really going to push you forwards in a very dynamic way. So if something is a bit stuck at the moment, I think the big thing is really to have faith in your long-term plan. As far as your energy is concerned, I think you could be a bit sensitive, but at the same time, if there is a challenge, you're not going to take a backward step. Thank you for joining me, Leo. Have a great week and look forward to seeing you again soon.